What's up, weirdos? Welcome back to my channel, and today we are reviewing something that's not necessarily horror, but it is true crime. So we're talking about The Act, which is the Hulu series about the murder of Dee Dee Blanchard by her daughter Gypsy Rose Blanchard and her boyfriend Nicholas Goodjohn? I don't know how to say your name. So I have been fascinated by this case for a long time because it's insane. So basically Dee Dee, who was the mother, had Munchausen's by proxy, which if you don't know means basically a caregiver has this thing where they make everyone think whoever they're caring for is really, really sick because it gives them attention, it gives the duo attention, and sometimes money in this case, all kinds of things. So basically Dee Dee made everyone, including Gypsy Rose, her daughter, believe that she had everything from like serious things like leukemia to less serious things like asthma, and she was always sick. She also told everyone that Gypsy Rose had the mental capacity of a 7-year-old up until she was 20 years old. She made people think that Gypsy Rose could not walk, which was not true. So she always had her in a wheelchair, and so they received a lot of charity, money from charities. They received a house from Habitat for Humanity, and basically just swindled a lot of people out of their money and care and love, which is pretty messed up. So then, as the story goes, Gypsy Rose grew up, started to understand that a lot of this was a lie, and then met this boy on the internet, and her boyfriend plotted and executed the death of Dee Dee. And so in 2015, Dee Dee Blanchard was found in her home, stabbed to death. So that's sort of the basic story, and then from there, the boyfriend, Nicholas, received life in prison, and Gypsy Rose Blanchard, I think, pled to second-degree murder, and so she got like 10 years or something like that, and is still in prison right now. So let's talk about the series. It's amazing. So in terms of true crime, like, this is a series, right? So it's very close to the story that most people know. Maybe it has some embellishments here and there, as true crime normally does. We don't know for sure. But overall, I think the series is so great. So first of all, Patricia Arquette, star. One of her early roles was, of course, Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Warriors, and she's amazing in this movie. Series. She is totally transformed physically, as an, personality-wise, everything. Like, I wouldn't have even known it was Patricia Arquette. That's how transformed she is in this role as Dee Dee Blanchard. And then Joey King, who you'll also know from, The Conjuring and Slender Man, which was terrible. She does an amazing job as Gypsy Rose. And the thing that's great about the series is it goes through a period of years. It goes back and forth in time. You see, like, towards the beginning of how all this went down to after the murder. And I think both actresses do this great job of playing both a victim and a villain, which is sort of the thing about this story that makes it so interesting. So first of all, you have Dee Dee Blanchard, who in some sense is a villain of child abuse to Gypsy Rose, making her get all these medical procedures she didn't need, not letting her walk, not letting her have a social life or a life, and then she's also the one that gets murdered, right? And then you have Gypsy Rose, who on one hand is the one that had to deal with all this child abuse and this really intense and terrible life, but then ends up being the one plotting to kill her mom. So both these characters have so much going on, and I think both actresses do such a great job that you get really well-rounded characters versus like the series trying to decide for the audience what was right and what was wrong. All the lines are so blurred, and all of it's so messed up, and I feel like it lets the audience have their own opinion about the crime, which I think is really, really great. So the acting and overall storytelling, excellent. I'll also say the design of the house that they live in is brilliant. First of all, like, the hallway itself that they show is true to like the crime scene photos and things, but It's pink, the house is pink, and then it is stuffed with like so many stuffed animals you can't even believe it, which I think perfectly frames the creepiness of the whole story of this mother and daughter that are living in this world of make-believe, right? And Gypsy Rose, who is like got a bajillion stuffed animals from every event she's ever gone to and every person that ever felt bad for her or wanted to help her in some way, and is constantly, you know, dressing up in like princess outfits to go to events and things when she's, you know, getting up to 20 years old. And it's so messed up. And then throughout the film, as they start to really isolate themselves, the house, you know, gets dirtier and dirtier, and it's just this perfect representation of this really messed up case. So that, excellent. Something else I just think is interesting is that Gypsy Rose Blanchard, who is in prison right now, is actually probably going to be suing the show because it's this weird thing, right? So first of all, Gypsy Rose Blanchard is not receiving any compensation from the show, and also they're using her real name, her real family background, and her story, right? And so it's like they're using all this stuff, which ultimately, like, yes, it's art, but also making a profit, and she's not seeing any of it. And so her and her family are probably gonna be suing the show. And she's also said that, you know, she hasn't got to watch the series because she's in jail, but she and her family have said that, like, because true crime is what it is, and you can never know the full story of any true crime, some things are closer to the truth and some things are further away. And I think that's true of any crime that gets turned into a movie or a series or whatever. But from all the research and understanding that I've done of this case, this series I think does a really good job, first and foremost representing the two women as people, and not as like caricatures of these two like totally messed up people that did all this crazy stuff. Like, it's like, yes, but they're really portrayed as like people that have emotions and backgrounds and complexities inside of them. And I think it's great. I think if you haven't seen it yet, please check it out. I know I'm not talking about a horror movie today, but I love this show. Even my boyfriend, who's not as much into true crime as I am, sat down during the first episode and was like hooked. He was like, this is insane. And I was like, yeah, and it happened. So that's what's up. And also, I'm not doing my normal ratings because it's not a horror movie. I just wanted to talk about the show a little bit, so here we are. If you've seen it, let me know what you thought down below. If you're planning on watching it, let me know that as well. And if you're a true crime fan, yeah, let me know if you have other cases that you think I should look up that are similar. It's so insane. But anyways, I will see you next time. Have a nice screen. Bye.